welcome back to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them because it's the Spoilercast. And in a special turn of events, this is actually the Patreon episode, as well as the regular episode. We're doing an early release for Patreon, but it's gonna be one and the same this week because we watched a very honestly. Well, first of all,
start off. Hi.
Yes, hello, welcome. I am Tobias, of course, my sister and trusty co-host Rebecca.
Hello.
I was gonna say, this is one of the more anticipated movies, of the decade, or at least of the year. But honestly,
not so sure that's true.
Yeah, because we're talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes.
And I mean, I know Ghostbusters is a big, huge fan favorite. You can't even call it a cult favorite. Yeah. It's just a classic movie at this point.
Yeah.
Because the majority of people love it.
Majority.
Present company not included. I don't know. I mean, nah. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Anyway.
I don't love it. I tolerate, I guess.
I tolerate it.
Nah. They're fun, I suppose, but they're not great.
Yeah.
And I'm only talking about the first two, in this case.
And also, we should say we're well. I don't know how much I should say. I should have said this before we started recording. We're recording this as the Patreon intro, and then we're gonna do a regular intro for the rest of the show. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually.
We'll see.
Maybe we won't do that.
Nah, probably not.
Because that means I have to edit.
We don't like that.
No. Well. We saw Ghostbusters Afterlife yesterday.
Yes.
October 31st. Very fitting since it's a ghost movie.
Yes. On a special secret screening almost. Not secret, but not a lot of people. It's one screening early in Stockholm. And I don't know how many people actually fit in that theater, but it was pretty full.
Like 300-400 people maybe?
We were in seat 200. Yeah, so maybe 500, I suppose.
I don't know. I think it's around. Yeah, maybe 400 or 500 would be more appropriate. I'm not sure. It's not my favorite theater. It's in Sweden.
No.
I have come to love the IMAX theater, both for its more comfortable seats, more leg room, and of course, larger screen. Yeah. But I guess this one it's called Sergel 1, and it's other than Rigoletto, it's probably the most prestigious one in Sweden. So
it's one of the
originals,
first big ones, I suppose.
Yeah, it is the first multiplex we had in Sweden.
Yeah. It's dead center in central Stockholm.
Yeah, doesn't really matter.
No. We should, however, mention that we were asked not to tell too much about the storyline and what happens in the movie.
Yeah, they literally had a guy from whoever,
Swedish film?
Sony Pictures Sweden, the people who distribute Sony's movies here in Sweden were there. And he was like, if you like the movie, please tell your friends. And I was like, is he going to say, if you don't like it, don't tell them? Because then I would have fucking stormed out. No, but he said, but don't spoil the movie. And I was like, shit. You turned to me and was like, well.
Well, this is the Spoilercast.
Yes, this is the Spoilercast.
We did agree to try and keep it.
Yes, and
or
also...
at least keep it to the second half of the episode.
Yeah, and also that's why we're making it Patreon, for the moment. Well, Patreon timed exclusive.
Yes.
Because, then you can choose. It's not just the main episode for this week and you can't listen to it. So yeah, we're going to spoil some things, but we'll save that for the second half, or in the first half, or whatever. We'll mention.
We'll do our best.
Stuff. We'll just talk about what we thought of the movie.
Yes. I mean, there are certain details that might be mentioned, but they're not going to be story specific or
exactly
destroy anything.
And I mean, honestly, there were no big surprises here.
No.
You've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
You've seen the original. you kind of know what's going to happen. Yeah. So, spoilers, I guess, for that.
Well, the
And
trailer's
also-
been out for a while.
Yes, it's enough. I just looked it up. The first trailer came out like a year ago.
Yeah, that's when I saw it.
The first proper trailer. They had like teasers way before that.
Right.
But in another different way, this episode, I'm kind of gonna hand over the lead for this episode to you, Rebecca.
Oh.
Yes,
Wow.
because
Thank
you seem to have a lot to say on the way home and even during the movie.
Well,
I would turn my head, and Rebecca would be like grimacing, cringing. She even put her hood up at one point, which I know you do when you're like angry.
yeah, towards
or
the
annoyed?
end, I got a bit annoyed with I have to admit, it was partially because of how we watched the movie.
Okay.
Because we were in a theater full of people who were super fans, basically.
Yes.
We had someone, because there were technical issues in the beginning, which always brings down the viewing.
Yeah. So there was
the
like
experience.
the movie was delayed like 20, maybe even 25 minutes, which is very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, first of all,
Whatever.
they opened the doors to the theater like 5 minutes before the actual start time was supposed to be. And in Sweden, we have the start time and then about 15 minutes of commercials.
Yeah.
But like they did commercials as well after that, so
Yeah.
we were delayed. Then they had technical issues. Then they had someone having to introduce stuff. Then they had hired some guy running around as a Ghostbuster.
Yeah. Some sort of super fan with a
Yeah.
proton pack and everything.
And
But honestly, the
someone
worst
started singing when we
Yeah.
had technical difficulties.
Yeah, well, they were trying to pass the time.
It's kind of funny, but
that was fine. Whatever.
yeah.
Biggest problem for me was, and I didn't even know this because I don't keep up. The restrictions have been lifted completely in Sweden. So
yes.
except for, I mean, maybe that wasn't the only seat, but it was packed except for the seat next to you.
Yes. Basically.
Yeah. And I was not aware of that, so I was like, "Gee," because I've become so used to sitting in a half-empty theater with
Yeah.
like 4 seats to myself because there's all the seatings are so spread out.
And yeah, we had
here there's
people sneezing and
right next to
coughing.
you, and it was so loud. Now you can hear the audience again.
Yeah.
I was
That
so-
was my second point that kind of bothered me.
Yeah,
Because there are some bad jokes in this movie. They're not bad, but like, they're not that funny. And the guy right behind me could not laugh, like, even remotely quietly.
Oh, okay. I didn't
He
know.
was so loud, and it just,
Yeah. Well,
irked me.
okay, well, I was just going to say, because I was really worried that, like, oh my god, the pandemic is going to be the death of cinemas. And I was so happy when they
Nah.
opened up again. But now that and it's been, almost to the day, 2 years since I went and saw a regular movie in a regular screening. And
Before
that was
the restrictions and stuff.
yeah, because it was in, like, in mid-November 2019, I went and saw The Lighthouse. But that was in a small theater and not too many people, so that didn't even really feel like it wasn't like a big crowd. That probably
No.
didn't happen. I haven't been in with a big crowd like this since probably the summer of 2019, so over 2 years.
Probably.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm enjoying the fact that cinemas are open again. This was not not enjoyable.
We'll go back to the IMAX when it's full, and it might still be okay. I'm
Sure,
thinking
sure.
it's just because this theater has not been renovated seat-wise in quite a while, so they're very cramped.
Yeah.
The entire... we even had like a golden row, as it's called, where it's
Yeah.
extra leg room. No, not enough. That's just like 1 foot.
Yeah. Well,
So,
let's
to be honest, that colored my experience a lot of the movie.
Okay.
It colored what I was reacting, how I was reacting, and some of my thoughts maybe.
okay.
But I have calmed down since.
Sure, yes. But that's why I
Not
think we
as
should
mad.
yeah, we've done enough preambling here. Now we're going to
Yes.
get into the movie. And I'm just going to ask you then, and let you rage for a while or whatever. What did you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Well, it's not the best.
Well, obviously.
Obviously. But
Even
at the
as a
same
non-fan,
time,
I have to admit that the first one is the best one, obviously.
yeah. But at the same time, it's definitely not the worst.
No.
And I can see that this one is a trial to revive Ghostbusters for the younger generation.
Sure.
However, I can also tell that it's probably not going to work.
Okay.
Because there's too much fan service that the new generation will not understand.
But I mean, the audience seemed to agree with a lot of the fan service in this one. They were cheering and
because
applauding.
they were all fans.
Oh, you mean like for completely new?
Yeah, like kids that grew up never, maybe hearing about the, what was it, 2016 version? Or gender swapped or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Maybe they know about that one. So when they see this one, they're actually going to be quite confused, because in this universe, that version did not exist.
No.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm, like, I see what they're trying to do, but I'm not so sure it's actually going to work. And I don't know if it's a shame or if it's fine, because I don't know if we need another sequel.
I'm wondering if this is really a movie for, like, a new audience. I mean, sure, it's about kids, which usually feels like, you're introducing it to a younger audience. But it's also such a, callback to the original that I'm wondering if it's not just made for the fans.
Maybe. But can they continue then, or is this going to be it?
Maybe in a rare occurrence, they're not looking at this as another franchise. They're just looking to make a good movie, or I guess a movie that fans like.
Yeah, because in that, like, if that's what they're trying to achieve, then sure, yeah, they've achieved it. The fans probably loves this, or will love this, I suppose.
Yeah.
'Cause, at least based on what we heard.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's like you said, there weren't. I'm pretty sure most of the people in there were, like, dedicated fans, not just casual fans.
No, dedicated, probably. I think we were the least excited to be there.
Probably, yeah.
And to be honest, in the beginning, when I saw the first trailer, I was kind of like, hey, that looks exciting, that looks fun, this might be okay. The more we got into it, it was like, what the hell is going on? Why?
Yeah, that's kind of funny, because I did not like the opening. Like every fucking movie now, no, not everyone, 99% of movies today, they had a cold open.
Yes.
So, to like introduce us to something that, not to set the mood, it's to introduce us to a gimmick that's going to be used later in the movie.
Or like the problem that's going to arise.
Yeah, and
in this case, I suppose.
It kind of takes the edge off the ending of the movie.
Yes.
Not going into any specifics here, but I mean, that happens a lot. Like, every goddamn horror movie nowadays starts with, like, a little cold open where they show the killer kill someone, and then we go into the movie. Like, we know we're going to watch a horror movie. You don't have to show us an extra kill in the beginning. Start the movie off happy and everyone laughing and having fun, and we slowly, descend into hell. And this should have been the same way. Like,
I mean, it works in some movies with the cold open.
Yeah, sure, it works.
We've discussed it recently, like the Scream movies. It kind of works.
Yeah,
but in this one, no, you didn't need it, because you got the whole explanation later on, and the cold open more or less. Well, no, the cold open just wasn't necessary.
No,
we got it.
We didn't need to see it.
We get all that information later on.
Yeah. And it was, it just felt, well, first of all,
getting into what you think. What did you think of the movie?
Oh, okay, I think you had a bunch of notes.
Well, we're getting to them.
I
just want to hear what you thought of the movie first. If you, put it down to a few words.
Okay, I overall liked it. I might even have to say this is my favorite Ghostbusters movie, because I am one of a very small group of people that just can't stand the original. I hate Venkman, whatever his name is, Bill Murray's character, Venkman.
Venkman.
He is the worst. He is disgusting, creep, like he's a pervert, he's a philanderer, he's a greedy asshole.
Douchebag.
Yeah, he's a terrible human being.
Yes.
But he's funny because he's Bill Murray, so we laugh. Like, no, he's a horrible human, and I can't stand him.
No.
And I think the plot in that movie, I made a whole video about this. Check it out on the YouTube channel. Just search for, Ghostbusters or whatever. It'll pop up. I haven't done too many Ghostbusters things. There are two plots in the movie. You have the setting up of the business, the Ghostbusters business.
Yeah.
I like that, the growing the business side of it, and like, shit, we're running out of money. No one's calling about ghosts. Maybe this was a bad choice, and oh shit, business starts booming. I like that part. But then there is the other plot with Gozer the Gozerian and Zool and everything.
Yeah.
And Shandor building the house to be like a conduit for Gozer to come to our world. And I think that plot is so poorly implemented into the building of the business plot that, like, when the movie's like getting close to the third act, they're kind of just have to like, oh, and here's the big overarching plot that we didn't really care about for the first 50 minutes of the movie. Here are all the details. Here it is. Oh, here's a map. Oh, here's the things. Here's Egon explaining that, oh, we're having a surge of It's not gradually introduced. Like,
no.
Like, we get all the explanation to why there's been a surge in ghost activity, which is part of the whole Ghoster plot. But we don't get that until the very end part of the movie. And I always disliked that. I thought it was a poorly written script. The dialogue is good, and I think that's what everyone loves about the original. They love the jokes, they love the dialogue, they love the actors, and that's the
banter,
good part.
basically.
But the plot sucks, and Venkman is gross.
Yeah,
so I can't stand the original.
I did try to rewatch the original just because, and I got like 20 minutes in, and then luckily the movie didn't want to play anymore. So I didn't have to.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, the first scene is him being a creep, basically.
Super creep.
Yeah.
But
how did that?
Yeah, I didn't say much about the new one. Here, without saying too much, this is a soft reboot. Make of that what you will. It is it acknowledges the other movies, or at least the first one.
Yeah.
But it is a soft reboot. You know what that means? So you have, of course, the plot of the kids, the character stuff, but you also have the other, story, the story of the ghosts and whatever. I'm not going to say any more than that. And here, I feel like the two plots intermingle better.
Yes.
Like, you have the character stuff, is part of the ghost plot.
Yeah.
Not perfectly, but much better than the original.
Well, yeah, because you get some character development within them realizing stuff.
Yeah.
And figuring out things.
Yeah.
I'm trying so hard not to say stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one does it better. But then I understand also that's why you will like it better, and some people might.
Yeah, but I think most
did notice that you enjoyed it a lot because you laughed at it at least.
Yes, there are. I mean, not every joke lands. No. But you have Paul Rudd, who is very, very charming, as always.
Yes.
He really helps to
a bit dorky as well, almost too cringy. At certain points,
I mean, we knew this from the trailers. He's like an old school Ghostbusters fan. He knows. Yeah. He sees the tech and like, ooh, it's a trap. It's a ghost trap, and it's the Ecto-1. Blah blah blah.
Nice replica, whatever he says in the trailer.
Yeah. That helped, and I thought some of the jokes were well written. I mean, they're geared towards kids, but it's like Shrek. It's also geared towards grown-ups, but it's a kids movie, definitely. Like, it's a teen movie. It's a PG-13.
Well, yeah, because you have McKenna Grace, who is like, what? In this movie, she's 12, but I
She's
think
12.
the actress
I think she's like 15 now?
Yeah, she's born in when 2006, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, about 15.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly 15. Yeah.
And then you have Finn Wolfhard, who is...
Like pushing 20 now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's born in 2002, so yeah, he's pushing 20. And he plays like a 15-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's definitely more teenage stuff, which helps to introduce it to a younger audience.
Yes, of course, that's why they're there.
But I don't know, there's certain parts of how they've written the characters that doesn't really work for me.
Okay. Which one? Grace?
Well, Grace, Phoebe, as she's called in the movie.
Phoebe, yes, yeah.
She's a bit strange how they've not her. The acting is fine.
Oh yeah,
she's never had like a main part like that before, though.
Annabelle Comes Home.
That's true, but I don't feel like she is the main person in that one.
No, it's definitely the blonde girl,
babysitter.
Mary Ellen, whatever, babysitter. Yeah, sure.
So this is like the first
Proper
actual
lead.
main character lead role she has, and I don't think this was the right character for her to have that with.
Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know. It's not said in the trailers, but I'm pretty sure fans know it already. You know, these are
the relatives of one of the originals.
Yeah, it's the grandkids of... Spoilers! I don't know if people know this or not, but it was pretty easy to figure out, even from the trailers.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of see it from the look of them as well, if you think of it.
These are the grandchildren of Egon Spengler.
Right.
Yes.
That's out of the way.
Yeah. And McKenna Grace McKenna, whatever her name is.
McKenna Grace.
I called her
Phoebe.
I know a couple of episodes ago I called her Grace Mackenzie.
Yeah.
This is just
Phoebe.
all wrong. Phoebe, she's basically doing her own. She's doing an Egon Spengler impersonation.
Yes. However, at times it feels more like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Well, that's what Egon is. He's an autist.
I don't remember him as being that.
Well, I think you need
stiff.
to try to rewatch the movie again then, because he is so detached from reality.
Oh, okay. Maybe I do need to watch the original again.
Yeah,
Then.
Egon is my favorite character in the movie.
Also, there was one script thing that I didn't like. It's not a major thing, it's a tiny thing. They say in the beginning, she's like, oh, I don't show emotions that well.
Yeah, because she is probably has Asperger's or autism.
Yeah, but then she gets very emotional.
Well,
in so many different ways.
Well, no, I gotta say she only gets emotional towards the end when stuff starts to culminate. She finds out about her heritage. She, she ends up in a peculiar situation, and she's being yelled at by her mother. So it kind of
I suppose.
She doesn't say that she never shows emotions. She just, she doesn't show as much emotions as other people do.
I guess it just felt like such a.
I thought it was warranted in that scene.
Yeah, but then the rest of the movie, she is very emotional.
Yeah, because of the situation.
Shit goes down, sure.
Yeah, I was fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It bothered me a little bit that they had to point it out. You didn't have to point out that she doesn't show a lot of emotion. You kind of figured that one out.
Well, that is the curse of modern movies. You got to spell everything out.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Otherwise, people will be like, "Why is she acting bad?" No, she's supposed to act like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she didn't act bad.
No,
but I don't
she was,
think
as always, she was good. She's a good actor, or actress, or whatever you're supposed to say.
But I still think that she should have, this isn't the perfect role for her to have as her first lead.
Maybe not.
Because she's a great actress, and she can do so many things. I just don't know if this was the right one for her to be the first one. I'm not going to say that anyone else would do it better, though. No,
I mean...
Perhaps it just is that she needed another director. I don't know. Something felt a bit off.
I don't know. Did you watch Troop Zero, the movie she made a few years ago, where she's like a Girl Scout in the 70s? Because that's kind of a lead role for her. And if that one had been her mainstream break, I thought that might have been better then, because that's more of a character with ups and downs and highs and lows.
Yeah, because that's what she's good at.
Yeah. But I liked her.
Yeah, no, I still liked her.
I even enjoyed Finn Wolfhard, which I haven't done since I had like the first season of Stranger Things.
That as well. He finally got to play like a normal teenager.
Yeah, he wasn't a douchebag for once.
Yeah.
Not a douchebag, but he wasn't Finn Wolf. Well, he was Finn Wolfhard, but he felt relatable.
It felt more, natural and normal.
Yeah. We gotta mention the third lead podcast. Do we ever get his real name?
No, he's called Podcast.
He calls himself
everywhere.
Podcast because he has one.
That's his name in the credits as well. So
he was the typical kid actor. He was okay.
Yes.
Kind of overdid it.
He was okay.
He kind of felt like a Disney Channel kid a little bit.
Yeah.
With the hair and everything.
Also, I think that's just what the character was trying to do.
Sure.
To be cool or something, but this is his second ever thing.
Okay. What was the first thing?
The Princess Bride, a TV miniseries short, and he's just called the grandson.
Oh, okay.
So that's just a tiny thing, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have, except for the abundance of fan service and references.
Yes.
Yay! Gotta clap for the thing.
Luckily, they only clapped at one place.
Yeah, people didn't clap a lot, which was good.
Yeah, because that ruins it sometimes.
There was one towards the end. We're not going to say it, we're not going to spoil it, but you can guess what happens. It's towards the end.
When you see it, you'll understand when they clapped.
Yeah. But yeah, and I was thinking in my head, because yes, I was wincing and cringing at every fucking moment where they even remotely reference the original, like, oh, this is just fan service. This is just like, ooh, references, things you know.
Yeah.
And at one point I was like, wait, am I just being overly critical because I do not like Ghostbusters? That was my first thought. Calm down. And then also, like, it is also a sequel to the original, so there's going to be references to the original.
Of course.
So I was trying to like put that into my head as well, like, is this just fan service, or is this actually like a valid for the movie at this point in the plot? And that made me a little more okay with it. There were still, don't get me wrong, there are still so many times where you're just like, God damn it. You don't have, not every minute, every second doesn't have to be a reference. Stop this. But it wasn't, it got easier to look past them when I thought like that. But there are a lot of Easter eggs, and
yes,
obvious moments where it's just there for people to go, oh yeah, the thing, the thing.
They even have like tiny things that in the beginning people like, you could almost hear people gasp and point. I think I even did that, gasp and point at like details in the background.
Yeah,
like it's no spoiler. The stacked books.
Yeah.
Like,
what the fuck is the point of that?
It's a thing from one of the movies, but
it's from the beginning of the first movie.
It's supposed to be something that a ghost has done, so has a ghost done it? I don't know. They don't acknowledge it enough for it to have a point.
No. So
it's just there so someone can go,
reference, yeah.
Oh my god! Which is kind of stupid.
And from the trailer, the one that people pointed out, which was like this overcharge of fan service, because in the original, Egon mentions that like when Janine asks him, what do you do for fun, and he says, I collect spores, fungus, and molds. That's like, ha, because he's so boring that he even collects boring stuff.
Yeah.
So then in the movie, of course, they find a big collection of spores, fungus, and molds, and it doesn't serve any purpose other than just like, it's his collection.
Yeah.
Why it didn't need to be there, but I guess it also did not need to be there. But it's stuff like that is cringy.
It points out that he's still him or whatever.
Yeah, but whatever.
Do we care?
No. Imagine if the movie didn't have that. Imagine if the movie didn't have such reverence for the original, and it could fully be its own movie.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see, a revival sequel like that, where they they kept the fan service to a minimum. Like, imagine if they didn't have the Ecto one. They had the proton packs, obviously, because they got to catch ghosts.
Yeah.
But imagine if
Ghostbusters
they just fixed up, because there were a bunch of junker cars on the property that they go to, the scary house from the trailer. There's a bunch of junk cars around, of course. What if they just fixed up one of those and used it? Like, built their own car, make it their own Ecto one, you know, but they call it the Ghost Mobile or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of just bringing up all the old stuff. That would be interesting, because there was a lot of fan service in this movie.
Yeah. And I mean,
almost
it's not
to the point where it was in the way. Almost to the point.
Almost.
Yeah.
And it's not like it would have, like, changed too much of what they had to do. Maybe they would have just had to figure out a couple of things on their own instead of having everything served on a platter. I mean, sure, like you said, the what's it called? The gun?
The proton pack.
Proton pack, that's the word. Sure, yeah, they won't be able to just figure that one out.
No,
on their own.
That is, you need that, because
Yes.
Egon is the only one who's ever been able to build one.
Exactly.
So
sure, I'll give you that.
yeah, sure.
But certain things like the fucking jumpsuits and stuff, like, come on.
Yeah,
why?
they had old jumpsuits. They had.
How did they even fit? I'm sorry, but what the hell?
Yeah, I was waiting for the joke where Podcast, since he's the shortest guy in the movie, he's also the youngest probably, that he would jump into a grown man's jumpsuit and like
Drown.
crap. Yeah, it doesn't fit him at all. He has to like run stupidly or something. No, they all just wore the jumpsuits.
They, like, you could see that he had, like, rolled up his sleeves a little bit, but
Yeah, well, I didn't notice that.
that's the only detail they had about that.
Yeah, that's an easy joke. You see everyone pulling up their zippers, like putting on the packs, and then you see him, the close up of him, and he's like, yeah, and they zoom out, and it's just not fitting at all.
Yeah, that would have been a good.
It's 4 sizes too big, and he's like,
That would have been a good joke.
I don't know if I can wear this. And
Also, the jumpsuit served no purpose.
yeah, it's just so they would look like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm looking at my my notes just to, like, see if there's anything worthy, because this is written in anger.
okay, yeah, you were
Most of
writing.
it.
You were writing while we were walking back to the train.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to think of which ones are not too much of a spoiler.
Yeah, well,
most of them are just details and nitpicking, to be honest.
Sure.
So maybe it's just because I was not in the perfect setting to watch this movie.
Well, I'll say this then. We've gone for about half an hour. We've talked about what we liked and didn't like about the movie. And let's do a, for anyone who doesn't want to listen to spoilers, let's do a rating. What would you give it? 0 to 10.
6.5? Maybe
6.5.
7?
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's entertaining.
Okay. It didn't look that way yesterday.
No, because I got annoyed. But
Okay.
So, like I said, I've had time to mull it over, to relax,
Sure.
to think about what actually annoyed me, which was a lot of the things in theater, not in the movie.
Okay.
So,
Right.
it's not a bad movie. It's
No.
entertaining, and it's actually kind of good considering what it is.
Yeah.
And the acting was very much on point. Like,
Yeah, there's nothing technically wrong with it. Like
no.
the effects
Except for
are
perhaps
good.
the fan service.
Well, yeah, but the technical aspects.
Oh,
like
yeah, technical
the
aspect,
photography, the CGI, the acting,
Yeah.
the music. Even though it was mostly just old songs reimagined by the new composer, you know. But yeah, that's kind of funny because you didn't seem to like it as much as I did. But I'm gonna give it a lower score. I'm gonna give it a weak 6.
Yeah.
It's not middle of the road. It's better than that, but it's not much better. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm willing to give it more because thinking about it, I did enjoy it more than I thought I did. I mean, we talked about this weekend. I rarely laugh at jokes in movies, and I thought most of the ones Phoebe gave were just terrible bad jokes. I hate bad jokes.
It was supposed to be bad jokes because she's not good.
Yes.
She doesn't understand humor, so she's like trying out
She's
jokes to make
practicing.
friends. Yeah, I thought that was funny when she told terrible jokes to.
Yeah, I just
people.
can't stand those. That's just not my thing. But I did laugh at certain points.
Sure.
So it's probably better. I need to rewatch it. I have to rewatch it at home in a better setting. I might be able to convince my boyfriend to go see it in theaters, in a better theater.
Yeah, well, we'll say that too. The original and the original sequel do have some genuine scares in them. This one,
Yes.
not really.
I think I jumped once.
There is
because
like
it was
a
jump
one
scare.
or two jump scares, but it's not really creepy. It's much
No.
more of an adventure movie than
Yes.
the old ones. The old ones are like comedies with some scares in them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah.
That's our spoiler-free thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So thank you so much for listening to that.
If you don't want to hear spoilers,
If you don't want to hear spoilers, turn it off.
Goodbye.
Well, first of all, check us out on all major platforms.
know.
Check us out on Patreon. You could have heard this several days in advance for just $3 a month. You'll get exclusive episodes, early episodes, commentary tracks, so much stuff. $3. It's less than a Starbucks coffee. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, goodbye to everyone who doesn't want spoilers, and hello to everyone who don't care about spoilers, because now we are officially in spoiler territory.
Yes. So be warned. Spoilers ahead.
We will not mince words after this.
No.
So, here we go. Start. Nitpicks.
Nitpicks. Well, I'm just gonna go off my list then, to be honest.
Sure, yeah, fine, yeah, sure.
First of all, why would the metal muncher not just chew through the bars and then float through the ceiling? Why didn't he just float through everything? There was a bunch of metal other than that. Why didn't he eat all the metal or none of the metal? Why would he only eat the bars when they got the proton pack thing back or whatever?
Well, because
Convenience.
that was
I know,
the only
but
metal in the room.
fucking hell. No, it wasn't. All the shelves around them were metal as well.
Yeah, but... Okay, that's a nitpick.
Yeah, it's a nitpick,
There's a
but it
ghost.
bothered me.
There's a
'Cause
ghost in the movie that likes to eat metal. And that's the first proper ghost they experience, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they later used it's kind of like a Chekhov's ghost, which is kind of I thought that was very clever. Because at one point our 12-year-old protagonists end up in jail, which I'm pretty sure is not legal to put a 12-year-old in jail. Not even
Doesn't
in
matter
jail.
what they do.
No, yeah, sure.
In custody until a parent arrives?
Yeah, but you don't put him in a
Possibly?
cell. You don't.
No. You sit him at the desk.
In the single scene that Bakeem Woodbine is in, as the sheriff, he threatens Phoebe, Grace McKenna Grace, whatever. That actor, he threatens her with more jail time, and I was like, bruh. I don't know the law to that extent, but I'm pretty sure that's illegal. You can't put kids
she's supposed
in jail.
to be 12.
Yeah, she's below the legal limit for jail time.
She's barely even old enough for juvenile, whatever it's called. Juvie, what's it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juvenile detention, juvie hall.
Yeah. She's barely old enough for that.
Yeah,
as
so
far as
that
I
was
know.
weird. But anyway, whatever. They get put in a holding cell because they shoot up the entire main street of the town.
A lot of things get destroyed.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and then, of course, the car and the proton packs are impounded. But at this point, they know about the main plot. So, we need our stuff. So they get out of the cell, and then they realize that in the impound room, where all the stuff is, there is another cage where they put the proton packs. Even though they get into the
extra dangerous
the evidence
stuff.
room, they can't get into that. It's like shit. It's a cage within a cage, as podcast says.
Yeah.
And I just thought, they set up this earlier because we saw Phoebe pick a lock. She picks the lock of the house they inherit.
Yes.
So I was like, she's just gonna pick it, but then she says, "No, this is a blah 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 lock. It's a magnetic.
It's a special lock
It's
that you can't
literally
pick."
unpickable." Podcast says, "I believe in you." She's like, "No, that's not how it works." But then he cleverly sees that the trap is in there, and what ghost have they trapped? What is the only ghost they've trapped? Muncher, or Metal Muncher, whatever his name was. So he unleashes the Metal Muncher, which then promptly eats through the bars so they can get to the proton packs. I thought that was clever.
They should have put him as, like, he should have kept munching on other things then, not just float through the roof and be done. What? Just keep him munching and they can get the stuff and run past him, because they don't care about him now.
But, I mean...
It's nitpicking.
Yeah, because it would just add fat to a perfectly edited scene. Like, sure, he could have eaten the shelves first, then eaten the bars, and then decided to...
No, but he could have eaten the bars and then float past them and start eating the shelves, and they would have just grabbed their stuff and run.
Yeah,
go get on with their thing.
That's basically, but instead he just, he floated through the ceilings. So.
Yeah, and they had to, like, show us him floating through the ceilings. Like, why? Why did you have to show us that?
Okay. I usually don't mind, but damn, that's a nitpick. Because that was a perfectly executed scene, I thought.
Fine. It bothered me at the moment. It's probably won't bother me as much if I watch it again, but at the moment it's like, come on, that's just dumb.
And also, he doesn't eat all metal. He definitely, like, tastes things. We see him, like,
True.
He's nibbling on a water hydrant, but not really eating it because,
maybe it's too hard, or the paint doesn't taste good.
So he doesn't eat all metal. He eats the metal he wants to eat.
I guess.
Whatever. Okay, next nitpick.
I think this is just a fan service thing, to be honest, though. When the mother gets possessed.
Yes. Yeah, you were cringing a lot at that. I thought that was the fun stuff. Like,
yeah, it was kind of fun, but it was kind of cringy. I just don't understand one thing. Because both her and Mr. Gooberman, or whatever his name was.
Gruberson.
Gary Gruberson.
That's Paul Rudd's character.
Paul Rudd, that's his name. They were both possessed.
Yes. They become the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper. Zoo.
Yeah, that's
and whatever the other one's called.
Why did she get a fancy dress, but he stayed in his own clothes?
Because...
Is that a callback to Sigourney Weaver?
Yes, it is. Because
that's what I was thinking.
When she becomes possessed and becomes the... Keymaster?
I think, isn't this
I always forget. No, she's the Gatekeeper, because Rick Moranis becomes... He runs... Fuck. Whatever.
Rick
Moranis runs around asking, are you the Keymaster? Right, so she's the Keymaster, he's the Gatekeeper.
Yeah. I think they did the same genders difference here.
They play the same roles,
Yeah.
And yes, when she becomes possessed, we see her, like, she rips off her clothes, and then she has the sparkly orange dress that
golden thing.
Yeah, that Sigourney Weaver has in the original. And when we see her get possessed in the original, and then she's kind of, we don't see, like, it's just a rah, and then she's gone out of the movie for a little while, and then Venkman goes to visit her at her apartment, and when she opens, she's wearing a very fancy she's wearing that dress.
Yeah.
And it's still like she hasn't really dressed fancy before. She's dressed very, like, comfortably before.
Yeah, casual.
So it's to like show that something's different, and also because she has makeup and her hair's moving in the wind even though they're inside.
Yeah.
It's just to show that she's different. And yeah, here they made that part of the possession, I suppose, that you get that dress. Yeah, it's a little like, come on, why did she have to have that dress on?
I was just more
but
like,
it was
is
fine.
that a callback to the original or not?
Is.
But it is, yes,
and,
fine. Then my memory served me right this time.
Yes, and then, it wouldn't be as, it would be silly to see Rick Moranis, or in this case, Paul Rudd, run around in, like, a sparkly suit. So instead, they just wear their clothes, because that's funnier. Because
he looked kind of like werewolf style.
Yeah, they have weird hair, and they're all bug-eyed and like, ooh. So it's funnier if they just have clothes on.
Yeah, I guess
that's fair.
True. We have actually ticked off some of my list already, to be honest.
All right, sure.
So the last one I'm going to mention, and I'm just curious if this is a strategic move, perhaps. Because we have this phenomenon that probably started before, but it's been a thing since Baby Groot, Mini Groot, whatever you call them, when he was a tiny thing.
When he's in the potted plant thing.
Yeah. Are the marshmallows supposed to be that?
Oh, yes, they're the cute thing.
Yeah, because in the original, the Marshmallow Man is a giant thing, right?
Yeah, he's like, they say he's 100 feet in this. I'm pretty sure he's bigger than that. He's like skyscraper huge. He's like 200, maybe even 300 feet.
But in this one, we only see them as miniatures, as in each marshmallow turned into a Marshmallow Man.
Yes.
So they just run around looking kind of cute. Even though they're biting people and destroying stuff, they still look cute.
And that is the point. That's
it's the Groot thing.
I'm not sure when it started, but I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me see here. I'm pretty sure it started with Star Wars. Yes, because in Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, you had
what are they called?
The Ewoks.
Yes, Ewoks.
Yeah, which are cute little fuzzy teddy bears.
Yeah. Yeah, but like in modern days, what you think of is Baby Groot.
Yeah, of course. But then you had just the year after you had Gremlins with Mogwai or Gizmo as they call them, and they even make a joke of that in Gremlins 2 when the Trump caricature in that movie, what's his name, Daniel Clamp. Mr. Clamp?
Think so.
He in the end of the movie, he sees Gizmo for the first time, and he's like, "Do you know what I see? I see dolls with little suction cups on their hands. We can make a franchise out of this." It's like that's a joke, because it's a cute character. Yeah, and then like throughout time, there's been others. I can't remember, but yeah, recently it's been a lot of Star Wars. You had the Porgs in Last Jedi. You had Babu Frick in Rise of Skywalker. You had Baby Yoda in Mandalorian. Like, it's just to sell socks and dolls.
Yeah,
and this you can sell little cutesy wootsy marshmallow dudes.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I get it. It's also like a callback.
Gross, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And it's also a callback to the original, obviously, because it's the same brand of marshmallow.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That was one, like, bad fan service, because obviously the town they're in, called Somerville, it's kind of run down, but for some reason they have a huge wall mural advertising Stay Puft marshmallows.
Yeah.
Not a poster, not a sign, like a sprayed-on wall mural that says "Stay Puft Marshmallows." Like,
where they like painted it.
Who does that?
I don't know.
And why hasn't it faded since? Are Stay Puft still popular? I don't know.
Well, they don't exist in Sweden, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Except for possibly in American stores, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Either way, that was just like it felt stupid, but they kind of served a purpose in the movie, so fine.
I don't know if they really serve a purpose. I mean,
they delayed the inevitable.
Yeah, my question is where did they come from?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
originally he's possessed. Right?
No, not
the big dude.
Not in that. Oh, no. The original Stay Puft is a manifestation of Dan Aykroyd's like innermost fear that Gozer creates.
Right.
Because he choose your death or something.
All right.
And they all say like don't go blank, and then you hear boom boom. And I couldn't stop it. I just had to think about it. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, so why are they all of a sudden... Because we don't
It's a callback.
Yeah, it's just a callback.
And it doesn't make sense, because it's not like, other foods are being turned into ghosts.
No.
It's not really... We don't really see a lot of other ghosts. What we see like are the demon dogs.
A few others.
We see the demon dogs.
Yeah.
And we do in the beginning of the movie, we see the Gozer ghost, so to speak, the main spirit. And we see a
miner.
We see Metal Muncher, and one cool animatronic miner ghost.
Yeah. But that's about it.
That's it. There's no and that's another thing, because this is just or did you have any more nitpicks?
No, I think those are my main thing that I wrote down.
Because here's my big nitpick with this one. the ghost plot in this is just a repeat of the original, but on a bigger scale. It's Shandor building a temple to Gozer all over again, but instead of a skyscraper,
just in a new location.
Yeah, he built like a temple in a mine.
Yeah.
So it's and the whole thing, like, oh, it's built on a fault line. They talk about it being on a fault line, which is the thing in the original, and the fact that he built an entire town around the mine. Like, so you have like Shandor grocery store, Shandor school. It's all Shandor stuff. Then later, renamed Somerville, which they don't explain, but it's all called Somerville anyway. And I'm guessing that is to collect souls, but they never explain that, like, oh yeah, people. Well, no, they do. They explain that at one point when the mine shut down because all the miners just jumped into a mine shaft.
Yeah,
and I guess that's how he collected souls. But that's the thing in the original movie. All the ghosts, that part of that movie doesn't make sense. There is a surge in ghost activity. The Ghostbusters catch all those ghosts. But then when the guy from the environmental agency, whatever, EPA, he releases the ghosts. That's when all the ghosts go from the big ghost trap in their house, the firehouse, to Shandor's conduit house.
Yes.
Like, what was Shandor's plan before that in the original? Like, was he waiting for Ghostbusters to catch them and then send them to the house? That doesn't make sense. Another thing that I hate with the original, this one made more sense.
Yeah.
He hired a bunch of miners to mine out the selenium, which is the conduit, the material, is the best conduit for souls. Then he used that material to build a temple with a huge pit in the middle, the death pit.
Yes.
And then, because he had mystical powers, he made them all jump to their death into the pit. That's when the mine shut down. And that's how he got the souls.
We even get to see how, basically, because he almost gets Phoebe to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And we get to see then that all those souls are trapped in that well. And he needs those to be released so they can, create that conduit for Gozer.
Yeah.
But Egon, who has been living in this town since shortly after the second movie, I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, because they say 10 years after the first movie. So that should be like 94, 95 somewhere. He just left. He left this little town because he was talking about the end times. And that's because he found out about the second Shandor site, I suppose. He has built a system, an automated proton pack system, that whenever the souls try to get out of that well to contact Gozer, to bring Gozer down, the proton packs just shoot them down, holds them at bay.
Yeah.
That's the whole system he set up. That's why he had to stay in this town. He had to stop that, and if it ever happened, he had to capture Gozer with a giant trap he had set up. And that made sense.
Sure, yeah.
Even if you don't get a perfect explanation to the whole thing, it makes sense once you see it. Much better than in the original.
They also do kind of, I don't know if it's retconning the original, but they give some sort of explanation to it. That it for some reason was supposed to happen that year. All the ghosts were supposed to surge. Yeah,
that's retconning. That there's been specific dates throughout history where
specific years. At least.
They don't explain what that's a countdown to. But it's like 1908, 1944 or something. All right, it was 1880 something. That was Krakatoa.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Then 1908 was the Tunguska explosion. 1940.
Then it was
it's kind of funny. 1945. Well, a lot of bad stuff happened that year. They didn't pick one specific.
They didn't want to say it.
That was annoying. Whatever. And then 1984, of course. The ghosts happening in New York, the first movie.
Yeah.
And then 2021.
Yes. There's no I'm quickly counting. That's not an even jump, right?
No, it's not, and it also doesn't like. What are these? What is supposed to happen at these times? Because, just
a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, but just
Is that it?
Just a little while before that, during the cold open of the movie, which takes place just like a few weeks before the movie starts, there seems to have been like a situation where where the mountain almost opened up to become a conduit for Gozer, and he had to try and activate the trap back then, but it didn't work. That's how he died.
Yeah.
Why didn't it happen in 1880 whatever when Krakatoa erupted? Why didn't it happen when
Who
Tunguska
stopped
exploded?
it then?
Yeah, that's poorly explained, and I think that's just like supposed to connect it to others.
Worldly,
Events.
worldwide happenings.
Yeah, exactly. So that was silly. I didn't like that.
No.
But other than that, I thought the ghost plot worked very well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be like holes in anything that has to do with ghosts,
Yes.
specifically if they're trying to like incorporate past happenings.
Yes.
Because you can't explain what happened back then unless you have a history lesson, I suppose, and they actually go through everything.
Yeah.
But, so they would have been better off trying not to mention it, I guess, but then they wouldn't have a reason to connect it to the original either, so.
Yeah.
It's a win-lose situation, really.
A lose-lose.
Lose-lose, I mean, yeah.
Otherwise, just pick the win.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it worked, but it didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work perfectly, but it worked as good as it could have.
Yes.
Another thing.
Yeah.
No, wait. Now I forgot it. Oh, I just had it. Oh, right. And that's something that has bothered me ever since, well, I guess since the sequel. The original movie in 1984, in that movie they prove the existence of ghosts, and not just, a little video on TV like Ghost Adventures or whatever. You have ghosts running amok on the streets of New York. Literally like the ground opening up around the building.
Yeah.
And a god coming down from another dimension to create a 100-foot marshmallow man that tramples cars and churches and stuff in New York. That should have been that should have been like a world-defining moment. Like, everything will be different after this. This proves that's the thing that always bothers me in movies where they're like where it turns out that like God exists. Like Christian nutbags were right all along. Like,
yeah,
it should be like a fundamental paradigm shift in the history of mankind. And this should have been too. Like, ghosts exist. There is an afterlife. Fuck.
Yeah.
Atheists were wrong. Imagine how many people went to hell, But in the second one, nobody believes in ghosts anymore. And they kind of hand wave it away like, oh, they explained it was just what's it called? Mass
hallucination.
Yeah, mass hallucination. One of those, mass hysteria. That's the thing.
That's the one, yeah. Like there was something in the water that made you all go crazy for a while.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But then, you have a second situation with, with the slime and the ghosts and the fucking living Statue of Liberty in the second one.
Yeah.
And then in this one, nobody believes in ghosts.
It's been 20 years and all of a sudden, we don't remember that. That's not in the history books or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like the great ghost explosion of 1984 is not something that people talk about.
No.
And there has
except for a few enthusiasts.
A few kooky fans, and like nobody remembers the Ghostbusters. They're like the only remnants left are like their ads are on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they even mentioned like, oh, there hasn't been a ghost sighting in the last 30 years. But that doesn't matter. The stuff still happened. How are people so blind to this? And their explanation is, well, there hasn't been a sighting in 30 years, and since Podcast and Phoebe are born in like the early 2000s, they're like, oh, we weren't even born when all that stuff happened. Well, I was.
Well, actually, they're like born in 2010.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. So they even longer since. But I mean, yeah, I wasn't born during World War II. I still know everything about it.
Yeah. I mean, kids who weren't born when the World Trade Center things happened, they know about that stuff because it's in history books.
Yeah, and I know that is, because it's a movie and...
Convenience.
It's convenience, especially when you make sequels. Once again, sequels kind of ruining it, because if you don't have a sequel, then everybody knows about Ghosts, because everyone saw it in 1984. But then you have to kind of explain it away in sequels. But at this point, it's like, why aren't, like, Ghosts a thing?
Yeah.
That is very annoying, and I know you can't even call it a nitpick. It's too big to be you're nitpicking. Like, no,
that's not a nitpick. That's just consistency error, I suppose.
Yes, they have to have a better explanation than people forgot. Oh, people forget. They do.
Yeah. Are people gonna forget the Holocaust in 30 years?
Yeah,
no.
Let's say even a smaller thing is like fucking like. There's been one confirmed video of Bigfoot, which we now know is fake, unfortunately.
Sure.
But everyone knows about it. Because of that because of that one video, everyone knows about Bigfoot. Everyone has seen that video. Even people who don't care about cryptozoology, everyone knows about it.
Because Bigfoot became a thing.
Yeah. So when New York City exploded because of ghosts... How can people not know about that? It's bullshit.
That is dumb.
It's so dumb, and it's perpetuated by this movie, and that annoyed me. But
even more now, apparently.
Yes, more now, because in the moment, it's still it's a fun movie, and I get why they don't care, because it's supposed to be you're discovering all of this stuff again.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't really make sense, like, canonically or whatever it's called.
No, and it's very annoying when you actually start to think about it. It is so annoying. It's... whatever.
One thing I want to mention, like a last kind of thing, because we talked about this a lot in horror movies, when we've talked about horror movies. Most of them taking place in the 70s or whatever, because you don't have technology, you don't have cell phones.
Yeah.
This one actually takes place in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
They do have cell phones. However, they cannot use them because there's no signal out there in the bush.
Yeah, they're in the sticks, so there's no signal. They have Wi-Fi, though, so...
Yeah, but it's like, it's a good, tiny little detail to, like, mention why you don't, like, try use your phone too much.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, they're kind of distracted by the ghost. But,
Yeah.
I kind of like that, because that's the thing that we've been talking about a lot.
Yes, and I did like that also. And it is that they need to use other kind of technology. They can't use their phones to catch ghosts.
Yeah. However, I wish they would have filmed some of it with their phones, because you can still film things. Yeah,
once again, that was a thing in the original. Stans is wearing a camera when they go to the public library to capture the first ghost. That's the whole thing. They need tangible evidence.
I kind of feel like Podcast would have had a camera.
What?
But no, he's wearing a mic and some sort of recording device.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. They're the old ones where you record on tape was called DAT. I don't think he's using a DAT, but whatever.
No, but he's using something he's not using his phone.
Yeah, he should have been. He should have been filming.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you have a podcast, but even podcasts like this, you can watch it on YouTube.
And I mean, they do use YouTube in the movie, so...
Yeah, exactly. Why wasn't he filming?
It's kind of weird, because you would have had evidence for future generations to put on YouTube. Put on YouTube for future generations.
That was kind of weird. Yeah.
It was just strange, because who records a podcast like that anymore?
I don't know. Well, some people do.
Running around with a mic only?
No, some people do. That's okay. But yeah, when you're doing, especially since he deals in like the paranormal and conspiracy theories,
I mean,
maybe that's just talking about stuff, but in this case, they're like trying out ghost capturing devices.
specifically when they were trying out the proton pack the
why
first
don't you
time.
film
Why didn't he
that?
film it? He was just like describing it and then holding out the mic for the sound to be captured.
I wonder if that's,
Set up your phone.
I wonder if that's supposed to be like some sort of like retro romanticism.
I
Like,
think so.
Ooh, he's recording it like he's a radio journalist from the 1940s or something.
But he's a 12-year-old in 2021.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
He probably doesn't even know what that would have been. Like, in his world, it should have been a phone.
Yeah.
Sure, you'll have a mic. I mean, yeah, everyone can buy a mic. And you can connect them to your phone if you want to.
Yeah.
Most of them, at least.
Yeah. So
that was also just like kind of a little bit of a nitpick, I guess, but it's a bit strange.
yeah.
Also, it doesn't leave evidence for the next generation to know about, so perhaps that's how they will explain away if they ever do.
Exactly. That's probably why. But let's talk about not the worst fan service. Well, no, yeah, the worst fan service. Literally out of nowhere, in the last 5 minutes, Venkman, Stans, and Winston shows up. Well, Zeddemore, Winston Zeddemore. What are their names? It's Ray Stans, Winston Zeddemore, and
Raymond Stans and Peter Venkman and
Venkman.
Winston Zeddemore. Zedmore.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. They show up. Well, those three, Venkman, Stans, and Zedmore, show up. And like, we thought you could use some help. And they have their own proton packs. They have their own overalls, or jumpsuits. I don't really care about like, they had their stuff, but it's just that they show up and like they were pretty good at like not having this be a nostalgia overload. Like, this was these new characters' story. Yes, you had a lot of like the old tech and everything, but that's
yeah.
But then you have, when she has her one phone call from jail, she calls Ray Stans to like...
Well, she calls the old Ghostbusters number, which happens to be Stans's occult shop?
Yeah, he has an occult bookstore in the second movie, because they break up in the interim between the first and second movie.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and
he still has that shop, obviously.
Yeah, and first she's like, funny prank call, I'm gonna hang up, and now she says, no, I need your help. And she explains the situation, and we get a little bit of like backstory where they have been for the last 30 years since the second movie, and he gives some advice, and I thought that was like,
that's it?
That was well done. No more of the old Ghostbusters. Let this be these new characters' own story. But then, like, hey, we thought you could use some help, and they all start shooting ghosts. And I was like, fuck me.
I mean, sure, she told him that she was Spengler's granddaughter.
Yeah, but...
And she kind of sounded like shit was going down, but does that warrant them to, like, get their stuff, get together?
No.
Which they don't seem to be friends that well anymore.
No, yeah.
And then travel to the dirt farmer, as they called Spengler locally, and
the dirt
probably
farm.
even other places, to, like, see if they need help.
Yeah,
Because I don't remember that she was saying how bad things actually were. She was just like, I'm in jail.
No,
or
that was pure fan service, and the worst kind of fan service. Like, hey, it's like when Han Solo shows up in The Force Awakens. Chewie, we're home. At least he got to become a main character in that movie. They literally only show up for the end.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, sure. It was kind of a beautiful moment with them, like, giving tribute to Spengler's actor. What's his name?
Harold Ramis. That is my biggest subject of contention. Oh, yes.
I mean, it was pretty, but it was kind of weird.
Well, when the cold open is all about Egon Spengler trying to capture Gozer with his big trap under the dirt farm. But
how did Gozer get out for that? Because the trap is still working later on.
I'm guessing he had a malfunction. I don't know. Yeah. Once again, the cold open makes no sense. It just ruins the movie. No,
not really.
Imagine if the movie started without that, and we didn't know that the house was haunted by his ghost or anything. Yeah. He dies because he gets grabbed by the chair with the hands that come out, just like in the original.
Yeah.
And we only see it's someone that kind of looks like him, probably with some prosthetics on. We'll see him in profile. It's always like only lit by the moon.
You barely see the face.
Yeah, you don't really see the face. He doesn't.
You see it in a couple of short shots.
Yeah.
That's it. You see that profile.
Yeah, he doesn't.
More than that, you only see hands.
Yeah, and he doesn't say anything. And I was like, they brought him back. It's kind of gross since he's been dead for so long. He died like in 2012.
Oh yeah,
like
I was supposed to.
I'm not sure when he died, but it's been a while. But at least then they explain why he's not in the rest of the movie, because he was fighting Gozer and he died, and that's why they inherit the house and everything. Okay,
Yeah.
Fair. I thought it was a little glugh, but it was fair. But then in the end, they literally have, and this is a joke that, once again, Red Letter Media has been making for years, that they are going to have a CGI Egon Spengler, a CGI Egon Spengler ghost in the new Ghostbusters, and that's literally what it is. He shows up as a ghost, and helps out Phoebe to hold the proton shooter thing for some reason.
Back thing, yeah, because she was not able to handle it before, or
but,
whatever.
But with the help of the spirit of her grandfather, I get it. I get the thing. Like she's finally realizing like her purpose, and
her strength.
her strength, and her grandfather's legacy is there to help her.
Yeah,
sure, but it's also literally a dead actor coming back as a ghost, a CGI
he died in
ghost.
2014.
And then you have the other Ghostbusters like standing there, bzzz, and him standing next to them as a ghost, helping her. And I thought it was the grossest thing ever. And then having like a lovey-dovey moment where they all hug, and Phoebe's mom, Egon's daughter, gets to hug him because they had like a strained relationship because he disappeared.
Well, yeah, he left her.
Yeah. But I just want to remind people then that the only reason that the three of them, or the four of them, most people just think of the three of them when they think of the Ghostbusters. Yeah. Winston was always like a separate character. Because he was kind of like a joke in the first movie, that they just hired some guy off the street to be another Ghostbusters.
Right, yeah.
And then they had to bring him back because they had to make sequels, or a sequel. But whatever.
Yeah.
It's always Spengler, Venkman, and Stans. That's the three guys that they think of.
It's the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, and they wanted to make, for years and years and years after the second one, even though the second one didn't get great reviews, it was still, fans liked it. Most fans liked it. It divided the fans, but most fans liked it. And it made money, of course, because it was Ghostbusters. And for years, they wanted to make another one, especially Dan Aykroyd, because he's kind of crazy, and he likes UFOs and ghosts and stuff. You should look him up on YouTube. He's genuinely crazy.
He is his character, basically.
Yeah, he is Ray Stantz in real life, yeah.
Yeah.
And he wrote several versions of a third movie. But Mr. No Fun Poopy Pants fucking Bill Asshole Murray always said, nah, I don't want to do it. And they can't do without Venkman, because he's part of the team. He's a very prominent part of the team. Yes, he's honest. Kind of the main character in the first one.
Because it opens with him.
Yeah. And he was even reluctant to the second one. That's why he never wears the jumpsuit in the second one, because he couldn't be bothered to even put the suit on. And when
fuck this.
All the other ones are like bathing in slime, and they're all covered in slime. He like gets a little bit on his suit. He was so not invested in this, even in the sequel. So he, for years, procrastinated and stalled and said, nah, it's the wrong script. And then eventually, guess what? Harold Ramis died. Now they can't make another one. And then just a few years... What? Did you look up when he died, by the way?
2014.
2014!
Yeah.
Then he decides to, it wasn't his decision, but he gave his blessing for them to make the 2015 version.
Oh.
He even said in interviews that, I knew this was the right way to go because these girls are so funny. And that's nothing against them. They are funny. They're good.
Sure.
They're good comedians and actors like that. But, that's the movie you wanted them to make?
Did he get money for that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he had like an executive producer thing. I haven't looked it up. I don't care.
Because that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. And then he has the gall to show up in this, like, hey, I thought you guys needed some help.
Yeah,
and they
he's the one who
literally
says the first thing of them. Of those three people, like,
yeah, it's the first
when
time they're all
show up. He's the one going.
Yeah,
you guys need some help.
Their cameos in the last one are all separate, and they don't even play the same characters, of course, because it's a separate universe thing.
Yeah. In this one, it would have made more sense if Stans would have said that because Phoebe called Stans.
Yeah. But he shows up in this one, and because he was such a fucking naysayer, they had to CGI Harold Ramis into the movie.
Yeah.
That's... sorry, I forgot his name. I was so angry. It's Bill Murray's fault we never got to see Egon Spengler for real again. It's his fault. For all eternity, he can be how funny he wants to be, but it's his fault we never got a proper Ghostbusters 3 with all four of them.
Yeah.
And now they literally had to make a CGI ghost Spengler in this one. It is disgusting. And I hope he's ashamed of himself. That's not even a joke. And that is part of why I don't like him.
Not.
I don't like him as the character, and I don't like him in real life.
They even tried to, like...
Sue me!
No, but, like, they tried to, like... What's it called? Hit his hand back... But from what he did in the first movie with the whole shocking students and flirting with the young girls.
Yeah, there's a mid-credit scene where him and Sigourney Weaver, I'm guessing they're together again? Because they get together in the first movie.
Possibly.
They've broken up in the second movie, but they get together in the end, I suppose. Whatever.
I mean, she's kind of telling me he's a douchebag, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
maybe they just met up because of this event. Yeah. They were like, oh, let's reminisce.
They do the car trick where he zapped people, from the beginning of the first one. And he even like confesses, I just zapped the guys because I wanted to hit on college girls even though I'm 40 years old. Gross!
And she goes, you're a creep. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like trying to be like, oh, but he's sorry about it.
Well, you know what?
No.
Too fucking little, too fucking late. About 7 years too late, bruh.
Yeah.
Would have been fun to have you around when Harold Ramis was still alive. And this is coming from someone that I didn't even care about more Ghostbusters movies. It's just for the people who cared, and I mean for your friends, Aykroyd Ramis. Well, how about you be there for them, asshole? Nah, I don't want to make a third one. Fuck you. Fuck Bill Murray.
He doesn't feel like a great friend in that sense.
I'm sure he is a nice person, but in these situations, he's an asshole. And I did not like that he was even in the movie. No.
It felt very unwarranted. He didn't need to be there. He felt like one of the few people that would actually... He would have probably just gone, I don't feel like helping you guys. Yeah, good luck.
That's the way he was in the second movie. He was like, you do the ghost thing. I'll do whatever. But no.
I mean, he's kind of that way in the first one, too. He's just in it for the money.
Yeah. He says that the franchise rights alone are going to make us rich beyond our wildest beliefs.
That's like...
He doesn't care. No. But here's just showing up because I thought you guys needed some help. Fuck you. Whatever.
I know this is a sad note to end it on, but...
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, I think we kind of have to.
I know. and that is the end of the movie, so...
Yes.
But overall, except for those last 5 minutes where he shows up and ruins everything, it's a pretty good movie.
It's a pretty good movie.
And like I said, I'll probably rewatch this before I rewatch the original.
Yes, I will rewatch this one because I need to see it without the distractions of a theater.
Yeah.
But yeah. So overall, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Watch it.
I'll stick to my 6 out of 10. Yeah.
If you don't have the opportunity, you'll have to wait till I think it's November 19th, mostly worldwide. I'm not entirely sure.
More or less worldwide on November 19th.
If you're lucky like us, maybe you can see it beforehand.
Yeah, if they have more pre-screenings, I don't know.
I don't know where in the world you are.
But yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Sorry for my outburst, but I just this is why I don't like to talk about Ghostbusters, because I don't like Bill Murray.
Hopefully we don't have to do another episode on it.
Yeah, hopefully they don't make more of these.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks so much for watching or listening. Either way, you can subscribe to us on YouTube to watch this every Thursday. You can listen to us on every major podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever. You can also hear this episode in advance and usually get exclusive episodes on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. You also get commentary tracks, early access to videos, exclusive videos, bunch of stuff for just one coffee from Starbucks a month.
Yes, and a special thank you if you stuck around till the end, even though there were spoilers.
Yes. I hope we don't ruin the movie for you, but I'm pretty sure we did if you haven't seen it, because we explained the ending.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but whatever. It is the Spoilercast, so you're gonna have to, you can only blame yourself. We warned you.
Yes.
So we'll see you in the next one. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's hosted by Tobias and Rebecca Vedén, produced by Tobias Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. Direction and sound editing by Tobias Vedén. A big thank you to all our supporters over on Patreon for keeping this show going. Rasmus Jonsson, Laura Kinney, Mom and Dad.